Good evening. I have Lynn here with me this evening. Lynn, I'd like to ask you some questions. How did you and your family arrive in Central Brevard?
Well, hi, Laverne. Nice to see you too. My family came to Florida to work in the orange groves in the early 1940s. I had a great uncle, street butler, who was involved in the orange groves and had a couple of groves. And my grandfather and my father came to town to work for him. My dad was actually stationed at Melbourne Naval Air Station, which is where Melbourne Airport is now. And then they just decided to stay in Florida. So they took me home to Georgia to be born, and then brought me back down here when I was a week old. So I've been in this part of Florida since I was 1 week old.
Where are you living now, and how long have you been there?
I've never left Cocoa area. I live in Rockledge down by the Indian River Lagoon, and I've always lived in Rockledge since I've been married. And about 15 years ago we built a house down by the river and just love it down here.
So what do you like best about the place where you live?
I like the river. I take walks every morning down River Road. I know you probably parked down here on the south end where I live when you were in high school. But I love to walk this road, and I like to take a lot of pictures of all the birds and manatees and stuff that swim in the river.
Are you retired?
I am retired. I've been retired for 2 years now.
What type of work did you do, and what did you like best about your career?
Well, I worked for newspapers part of my life, and then the other part of my life, the biggest part, is I sold computer systems to newspapers in the U.S. and actually in different parts of the world. So I traveled a lot, and I enjoyed the traveling. Often my wife Bootsy would come wherever I was, and we'd spend a long weekend together somewhere. But I enjoyed meeting all the different personalities in all the different newspapers around the country.
What would you like to say about your family?
I have a great family. I mentioned my wife Bootsy. We have 2 sons, Andy and Ryan, and they each have grandchildren. So I have 2 grandsons and 1 granddaughter, and 2 lovely daughter-in-laws, and they're just a great family. Wish we could see them more.
Do you have siblings and are children who graduated from Cocoa High?
Well, I have my 2 sons that I mentioned. Both of them graduated from what we know as Cocoa High. That's now Rockledge High, so they both went to Rockledge High School. And then I have a sister who's 5 years younger than me. Her name is Betty, and she graduated from Cocoa High School.
How is your life different now than you thought it would be at this point?
I don't know if I thought I'd be this happy, Laverne. I have a real happy life, real wonderful family, nice place to live. We had a good working life, so I guess, I don't think I thought I would be unhappy, but I think where I am in my life now, I'm probably happier than I ever thought I would be.
What's the most important thing you want to accomplish before you die?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have any grandiose ideas or anything that I especially want to accomplish. I'd like to have somebody wash my car every week and mow my grass. I still do most of that myself, I guess. But Bootsy and I would like to travel some now that we are both retired, and just go see some family that we hadn't seen in a while, and maybe some classmates that we haven't seen in a long time if they'll have us. That we might come to Huntsville and stay in your old house.
You're welcome anytime. You certainly are. Just bring money. Are you looking forward to our 50th reunion?
I am. I think we're going to have a big time. I've gotten closer to some of our classmates over the past few years that I really didn't even know in high school, but through the Mosquito Beaters organization that's here and the social media, really gotten to know a lot of people and look forward to spending more time with them.
So you have stayed in touch then with a lot of our high school classmates?
I have stayed in touch with quite a few of them, and of course never leaving the area. There's a group of our Happy Days crowd that have never really left here either. So, we bump into each other once in a while and occasionally get together with some of them.
How have you changed other than appearance since graduation?
Oh, I'm probably a wiser man now than I was then. A little more extroverted. I was pretty introverted in our high school days, and I guess a lot more sociable than I was then. And appearance-wise, I was a little bitty fella in high school. You probably remember that, but I'm about the same size as everybody else now, maybe a little bigger in a lot of places.
Was there a group of people in particular that you hung out with in high school?
Yeah, I had a crowd that I ran around with. The church that I went to, we had a pretty good crowd there, folks that went to high school with us, and we would all hang out together and go to Tom's Pizza, which was at 5 Points. If you remember, first time I ever ate pizza. I didn't know pizza when I was a kid, and Tom's Pizza at 5 Points was the first pizza I ever had, and it was square. But our group would seemingly somehow always end up at Tom's Pizza or the drive-in together, stuff like that.
Did you play any sports?
I played intramural sports, and I played on a city league softball team and a city league basketball team. So I wasn't on any of the high school teams. I played both high school and basketball when I was in junior high school, and I was pretty good actually for a little fella, but I could dribble and shoot. And on the football team in junior high, I was the littlest boy on the team. I was 72 pounds. And one time I had my picture taken on Butch Stefarak's shoulder. He weighed about 280 pounds. So they took our picture and we were the big and little of it. We were both defensive tackles. And I think I might have been a little better than Butch.
Were you in band? And if so, what instrument did you play?
I wasn't in band. I always wish I was after I got out of high school. That's probably one of the things I would have liked to accomplish. I did play a 5-string banjo for a little while, and I learned to play 2 songs. I could play Cripple Creek and Wildwood Flower, but I could never just sit down and play. If you heard me play those 2 songs, you'd think I was really good. But I did learn to play the humanitone, which is also known as the nose flute, and I could play it pretty good.
What's your favorite school memory?
I guess sports, if I drill down. I went to a lot of the ball games, and my parents never seemed to mind if I drove out of town. So when I was a junior and senior in high school, wherever we had a basketball game or a football game, we'd always go to those games. And when I didn't drive, we had a pep bus. We had a pep team, I guess, but we'd ride that pep bus. And I remember we had a big time on those buses doing cheers and singing 99 balls of beer on the wall, all those things. So those are nice memories for me.
Who was your favorite teacher and why?
I always liked Dabney Davis. He was my junior high school football coach, and just a real fine fellow. And I think, organized sports, I think, does a lot for young people and knowing how to deal with other people. And Dabney was real good at pursuing all that. Never really had him as a teacher, but he was my favorite teacher.
What was your most embarrassing moment?
In gym class once upon a time, the boys and the girls would often be in the gym at the same time. So the girls' class would be on one end and the boys' class would be on the other end. And one time we were doing gymnastics, I think, and somebody yanked my gym shorts down, and I had a time getting them back up, and I was afraid all the girls would be giggling at me. So that was probably my most embarrassing moment.
Was that also your funniest moment, or do you have a funnier one?
One time I took somebody to the show, I think it was 14 cents, to the State Theater, I think maybe when we were in junior high school. I don't think it was Sue Anna Bird, it might have been Dixie Wormuth, I can't remember, but one of our friends, I took, and when we got there I didn't have but a dime, so I had to borrow 4 cents from whoever I had taken to the show, and I was real embarrassed about that.
Are you a fan of any particular college sports team?
Well, Laverne, if you're our age and you're raised in this part of Florida, you're just a Gator.
That's true.
The people that moved in and transients from up north and everything, they might like those other teams that are in the state that you and I don't care much about. But I'm a Gator. I've always been a Gator since in junior high. Had a quarterback named Larry Lipitor, and Larry was a little fellow like I was, so I really liked that. And Ray Graves was the coach then, and I just have always loved the Gators and still do.
Will you be going on our cruise?
I will be, yeah. Looking forward to the cruise. We're going to have a big time, I think.
Any message for your classmates from the class of '64?
Well, I'd just like to say hello to everybody. I hope y'all all come down for the reunion. Those of you that can come to Mosquito Beaters, which is in March, and we'll talk about what all we're going to do at our reunion. But, we'll all get out there and at the reunion and see if we can still cut a rug and who can still get down and who can't. But I think we have a big time. Y'all come.
Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Laverne.